Hello, beautiful people of the world. My name is Dalton, coach of Ring Sleep Box. Welcome to our podcast, To the Bell. I'm here with my lifelong friend, Gustavo.
Mm.
Another good
That,
one.
that was
How you doing? Yes,
pretty
sir.
good. Pretty good.
So we had a couple of topics today. I'm going to go ahead and bust them out for you so you know what the podcast is going to be, talking about. So we got Canelo versus John Ryder. We'll do like a little recap on that, what we think. Billy Joe coming out of retirement this year. Who he could potentially be matched up with in the future? Who knows? Terence Crawford versus Errol Spence and negotiations. We'll talk about that. Rolly Romero possibly fighting Ryan Garcia. Maybe. We'll see. We'll talk about it as well. So, right off with it, Canelo versus John Ryder. I know you probably seen some stuff, heard some things. What do you think about
To be
that fight
honest, I
right
haven't
there?
heard nothing.
Did you watch any highlights or anything?
No, because I went to Double Dogs. 'Cause of course we didn't have our fight here like we usually do. Because somebody not a fan of Canelo. So
Not pointing any fingers.
so I went to Double Dogs. Figured they're gonna have a fight there.
Didn't you say Muslim was gonna have the fight?
Yeah, but I feel like having wings and chili cheese fries
And no Canelo.
and no Canelo.
So that tells you where you'd rather have that,
But really, they didn't make a big deal about it. Like
Well, I think if you've seen one Canelo fight, you've seen them all.
Jamal, right, right, and one.
fair enough. Fair enough.
I mean,
I mean, it's the same. He's got the same strategy, the same fight, the same everything every single time.
But I've been hearing that Canelo's going down though. Like he's not moving like when Mike Tyson. They said Mike Tyson when he started going down when he didn't move his body, he was just throwing power punches. And then Canelo, they were saying that Canelo's doing the same thing. That he ain't moving like he used to be moving and stuff. So I mean, even if he loses or whatever, retires, I'm still happy. Like
Yeah, I mean
he done
he's
so
done
much amazing things.
solidify
Yes,
his Hall
his
of Fame position,
yes,
right? He's done
yes,
solidify his legacy.
yes.
I was watching highlights on it. I didn't watch the full fight. I watched highlights of it, and I mean, dude, if John Ryder would have been a little more skillful, he might have beat Canelo for
That's what I
real.
hear. That's what I heard.
Canelo did knock him down a few times in that fight, but John Ryder, man, he held his own, and it went the full 12 rounds. So I mean, he done fine. I watched the interview after the fight, and they were sitting back there and doing like the interviews and stuff, and you can see he had two things up his nose to keep the blood from going, and then he
Mm.
had a thing on underneath his nostrils. And as he's talking, you can see the blood dripping down his
Oh,
mustache onto the ground, like onto the table.
damn.
So Canelo like busted his nose all up. It was bad.
Mm.
But I mean, so going back to that, you talk about Canelo going downhill. I feel like it could be used as a strategy, right? Like
You
I'm
did tell
like,
me that.
and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just like, well, maybe this is what I think. But Canelo is talking about wanting to fight Bivol bad. He wants to
Yep.
fight Bivol in September. We talked about that in the last podcast. That he's wanting to get that back with Bivol. So the way that I see it is, who's to say that he's not playing possum a little bit? Like, oh,
Hey,
I am getting old. Bivol, you should be able to beat me easy this time. But we'll see. But I mean, I I like Canelo. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not a huge fan of Canelo, but I don't think he's gonna beat Bivol. I don't even think it's gonna be close. I think Bivol is gonna beat him. It's
whoop
gonna be
is
easy.
that?
Yeah,
Yep. I
yeah, I do.
mean,
I
like
think
I
he's gonna. I
said,
think he's getting there. I think he's gonna beat him. It's gonna look fairly
I'm
easy
gonna
for
watch that
Bivol.
fight here.
Yeah, we will watch that fight for
We
sure.
will watch that fight here.
Yeah, we will watch that one.
Okay.
I do think that Canelo is gonna get. I mean, you're gonna have to. Bivol is a boxer, right? You can't try to just fight a boxer. You have to box the boxer. Because
Mm.
he tried to go in there and throw haymakers, or not throw haymakers, but throw more power shots than Bivol. It didn't work. Bivol was able to catch and shoot and throw him right back at him,
Wow.
and it played out to Bivol's favor. So we talked about that. The next big thing, talking about Canelo, the guy that's fought Canelo a while back, Billy Joe Saunders. I don't know if you heard anything about him, but we talked about him a while back. We showed that picture of him and how he's been gaining weight since retirement. Well, he's
Mm.
coming out of retirement this year.
Really?
Yeah, and he last fought super middleweight. Now he's up there in weight. So I don't know if he's gonna. Nothing's been like really solidified, like if he's gonna be doing light heavyweight, or super middleweight. But he's normally a super middleweight. He was one of the first guys that Canelo fought. Do you remember the story about him shattering somebody's eye socket? Canelo. Well,
No.
it was Billy Joe. Billy Joe's last fight was against Canelo, and Canelo shattered his eye socket on an uppercut.
So
Shattered
Canelo
it.
put him in retirement,
Yeah.
pretty much.
After that fight, he retired. Yeah.
Dang.
And then I've been seeing videos since that of him like sparring and all that stuff, and he's gained
Quite a bit of weight.
significant weight. Yeah, yeah, gained a lot of
Is it
weight.
like thick weight or is it like fat weight?
Yeah, it's more fat weight. Yeah, I
Dang.
hate to be like that, but yeah, he's been kind of not really training seriously, but
Mm-hmm.
if he's done it once, he can do it again. Hopefully, he can come back and maybe see something. A fight that I would like to see would be him fight Caleb Plant. I'd like to see that. And the reason I say that is because a while back he was at the he was at one of the gyms in Vegas, top ranked gym in Vegas, and he's talking to Tyson Fury, and Tyson Fury's like, "Who do you want to fight, Kevin?" He goes, "Billy Joe Saunders." And Tyson Fury's like, "No, you better not fight Billy Joe. Nope, better fight somebody else." And I'm like, man, I would kind of want to see that fight. To be honest, I think Caleb wins just because he went further with Canelo than Billy Joe did. So I'd kind of want to see that fight just based off styles because Billy Joe's a slick southpaw fighter, and then Caleb's a slick orthodox. So I think styles make fights, and I think it'd be an entertaining fight to watch. Uh, but I mean, who knows? Well, I mean, we'll hear more about it as it goes through. But I mean, I think it's cool. It gets to add another person in the super middleweight because he was there originally and he retired. Like I said about that busted eye socket, but we'll see. And then on to like the next big one we talked about is Terence Crawford and Errol Spence. He fights at 147, and that fight has been talking for years. Terence Crawford's never been beat. Errol Spence Jr.'s never been beat.
Wow.
It's two fighters again in their prime, never fought, and I think it'd be awesome if they could fight this year because this year already has had awesome fights so far. You've had the Caleb, the David, you've had Canelo fight, you've had
Devontae.
Devontae Ryan, you've already had these big fights. So I'd love to see Terence Crawford and Errol Spence fight. That'd be huge.
What weight class they in?
147.
147.
So that's the one that's got Abel Ramos, and it's got Cody Crowley. Remember we watched them fight?
Yes.
So they're in that same weight class.
Okay.
So that'd be awesome to see them fight too. So they were on the phone. I want to say either the beginning of this week or last week. They were on the phone with each other for 30 minutes, and Errol Spence said everything went well. So I'm hoping they're getting closer to negotiations. We talked about how when you have a contract, I'll say something and they'll go through them, and then you'll say something, it goes right back to me. So I'm hoping that them on the phone and them talking, they're getting closer to confirming it. Yeah, and it's been going on for, I mean, years, man. Like I watched the interview the other day, and Errol Spence said, this isn't the first time that Terence Crawford's been mentioned up before. He said one of his homies called him, be like, "Hey man, congratulations on you fighting Terence Crawford. That's huge. I already got my hotel booked." And he's like, "When is your hotel booked?" He's like, "Bro, the 22nd of June." He's like, "Bro, I ain't gonna be there. Like that's just a rumor. Like we're not really fighting. It's not confirmed unless I say it or he says it. It's not confirmed."
Dang.
And I mean that's true. I mean I can sit here and say that these guys might fight each other, but it's just word to mouth. I mean it might be true, but unless they 100% say like, "Yeah, I'm fighting Gus in September, but we're for sure gonna fight. This is when it's gonna be at. This is the agreements." Then it's for sure. But if nobody says that, then that's just you gotta take it with a grain of salt.
Wow.
Terence Crawford only fights once a year, and it's been like that since 2020.
Wow.
Terence fights one time.
Is he the man or something?
Yeah.
Oh, is he? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Terence is the dude. I want Terence to win that fight for real. Like I'm a huge fan of Errol Spence because he went to the Olympics. I mean, he's got a great background in boxing. And then Terence Crawford used to be Timothy Bradley's sparring partner coming up, right? Like Terence Crawford didn't really take boxing serious, and then Timothy called him up and said, "Hey man, I need a sparring partner." And he went up there and they sparred, and he talks about both of them talk about it, right? And Tim's a humble guy as a fighter too. He's retired now, but he's talked about Terence Crawford. He's like, "Man, I remember when I called him up to the gym and we sparred, and as we're sparring, the whole gym stops what they're doing. They're all watching them spar." And they said it wasn't a sparring match. It was like a fight. And I remember, like, he said after the fight, or after they sparred, Timothy shook his hand and said, "Hey, man, you ain't no sparring partner." He goes, "You're a future world champion."
Mm.
And he did. Terence became a world champion, and he's been unstoppable since. And he said, "Man, like that moment told me, like, okay, I'm meant for greatness. I'm meant to be on this level." Like sparring, Timothy Bradley, who's phenomenal as a fighter, and he tells you, you're not a sparring partner. You're not a punching bag. You're meant to be a world champion. And he has. So that fight would be huge, man, at 147. And I wrote that down like because I want to see that, man. Like it's and in boxing, when you stop doing it, you're no longer getting talked about. And that's a sad truth about boxing. It's all about the next big fight, big fight. So I mean, I would love to see Terence Crawford and Errol Spence get that on. I think that'd be huge. And if they could do it this year, that'd be awesome. Because what's happening at the end of this year is that big heavyweight showdown, that big fight in one night,
Over there, overseas.
Saudi Arabia,
yeah.
So like this year would be huge for boxing. We've already had a lot of amazing fights.
So would that card be a main event?
Yeah, that would be a pay-per-view main event. I mean that fight is huge, man. Those guys are awesome. Terence can fight going forward, backwards. I mean both of them can do. Both of them is what I call a universal fighter. They can fight going forward, backwards, orthodox, southpaw.
Yeah.
You name it, they can do it. So that's a fight that I'm looking forward
Both
to.
of them do that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
As a coach and as like a huge boxing
fan,
that's what you want. That's what you want. That's the fight that I want to see. And it's not going to be a knockout drag. I mean, it's going to be a boxing match. It's going to be nice. That's what I'm looking forward to. And then nothing crazy, but Rolly Romero is fighting Saturday. He's fighting tomorrow with a guy named last name Barrios. And Rolly's done mention that, if he can win this fight Saturday, that he's going to fight. He's going to for Ryan Garcia at 140.
That's going to be a good fight anyhow.
Yeah, he said he wants that. And that's another big, knockout fight. They want to see that fight. What I think is going to be awesome is the Smack Talk, because both of them love to talk about Smack. Yeah, and I mean, and they both have a lot in common. They both been knocked out by Gervonta Davis.
I was waiting for it.
Yeah,
I was waiting for it.
So they got a lot in common.
I was just saying, both of them took a knee.
Yeah. So, dude, I think it would be. I think it would be cool. I don't know if anybody knows, but same thing. Like we talked about Devin Haney, Shakur Stevenson, right? They were sparring partners. Rolly and Ryan were sparring partners. You can get on YouTube and watch them spar. And some say Rolly got the better of Ryan. You can watch it for yourself. You can type in Rolly sparring Ryan. They'll pop up the video. So you guys can be the judge on that if you think that which one you think got the best of the other one. But I mean, it's competitive. It's back and forth. Like Ryan's like sparring, Rolly's fighting for his life. If that makes sense. Like when you watch it, Rolly's like going hard, and Ryan's just like, we're just trying to spar. You can kind of see it, but we'll see. I mean, I think it would be a big build-up. I think there'd be a lot of hype around the fight. I'm not taking that away from the fight between him and Gervonta, but Gervonta didn't really talk a whole lot for that fight. He didn't really talk a lot of smack. Rolly and Ryan will talk a lot of smack.
So it's gonna be like a build-up. It's gonna be like a big build-up. I think it would be a
big build-up. I think there'd be a lot of stuff going back and forth. So we'll see.
I'm not going for Ryan this time. I don't even know the other dude, but I'm going for the dude.
Rob, what?
Yeah.
You don't switch up, though.
I don't. Never switch stuff.
So, Rolly said that, he wants to take this fight Ryan, and Ryan's talked about he plans on retiring by the age of 26. I don't know if you guys heard about that.
No.
He plans on retiring at 26. Ryan's 24. I'm not joking. You're laughing, but I'm serious. He said that he wants to retire by 26. He wants to retire.
One big paycheck, right?
So, dude, here's the thing. He's got that big paycheck with Gervonta Davis. So he's gonna have if he fights Rolly, that'd be another big paycheck. And then of course Ryan doesn't have to box, and I made a short. I didn't make the short. I ended up not doing it, but Eddie Reynoso did an interview talking about Ryan Garcia about coaching him, and he flat out said that he is very easily distracted. He doesn't take boxing serious. He doesn't focus enough in boxing. Said he's all the time worrying about social media. He's always worried about cameras and a crowd watching him. And this is Eddie. This was his coach for 5 years talking about it. He says Ryan's a good guy, but he doesn't take boxing serious. He doesn't focus enough. So maybe boxing isn't for him. Boxing could have been his next stepping stone to lead to social media or to lead to acting he loves social media. And that's awesome. That he's good at it. So I could see him retiring at 26.
I ain't never heard of him till
Ryan Garcia?
Yeah, I ain't never heard of him. I don't know where he came from.
You ask a lot of the younger people, they all know Ryan Garcia.
But where he come from?
Social media. That's it. He came from social media.
What he done so special?
He would literally train in his garage. He's a pretty boy, young fighter, right? He catches people's attention, and he's a big influencer, right? Same as KSI, Logan Paul, any of those guys. They're very much into social media.
YouTubers.
Ryan's got a YouTube channel. They're huge in social media. He's an influencer, right? That's where his whole fan base comes from. Same as Jake Paul, right? These guys are getting all this attention because how much they influence the younger generation, and Ryan Garcia is one of them. He don't have to box. I think Ryan can retire at 26. He can get a big fat check and then right off into the sunset and then just pursue Instagram, TikTok, all that fun stuff. I mean, if you ever look at his stuff, he's got a big following in all social media, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. I mean, he's got over 1 million for each one. Each brand of social media, he has over 1 million, subscribers on all of them. He has one of the most following on anybody in boxing. He's up there with them because people like to see him. I mean, he draws attention. So, I mean, I could see that. I could see him, taking these big fights and then dipping out. And then even if he does that, he could always come back and fight again. And I guarantee he would still sell fights. People want to see Ron fight, because of that social media background. They love him. He's got tons of fans behind him. So love him or hate him, he's got that big fan base behind him.
I don't love him or hate him. I just whatever.
He's like,
even though I was going for him.
he's like, it is what it is, man.
It
I
is.
mean,
It
he's
is.
not. I mean, and like even with that being said, right? It's not like his career's over. Like, I mean, he can still come back and fight, and there's other big names out there like Rolly. There's still these big fights out there that he can take and keep doing good in his career. He don't just because he lost, I mean, he's done. He don't have to. Let me look at Canelo. He lost and he came
He
back,
came, yeah,
and I mean,
twice.
a lot of people do it, man. That you can lose and still come back and do a lot more. Just because you lose one, don't mean you're done. And then I don't know if you've seen anything about this, but did you see the Kenneth Egno? I can't remember his name, but he had a fight and he ended up passing away at age 22.
No.
He collapsed in the ring after he won a fight due to like brain
Brain
bleed.
damage.
Yeah, he was bleeding in the brain, and 4 days later he passed away. So that's not good news at all. He won the fight, started boxing in 2019. The fight was promoted by Manny Pacquiao, and Manny Pacquiao paid for all the expenses for his medical expense, paid to fly his family out to the hospital and everything. And this happened recently. I mean, like I seen the thing today where he passed away, and
I
it's
mean, like, any sport is dangerous or whatever, but I mean, like, hey, like, you pass away
22,
20,
man, young,
yeah, young.
22. So I mean at the end of the day, these fighters, like people criticize all these fighters, and I mean that's fine. We don't really, I mean we criticize fighters as well. We talk about, we recap on them, but you got to respect anybody that steps
Yeah,
foot in there because they're going in here to entertain us. At the end of the day, they're putting their life on the line to give us a good show. And
that's
even
sad, man.
right.
That's sad.
So the guy that he fight, like afterwards, he made a comment and he was like, basically sending condolences to the family, and he was saying that we gave him a good fight, it was blow for blow, but I never meant for any of this to happen. Why did this happen to us? And he talked about it, sent his condolences out, and it is sad, man. Like, I mean, he's young, he could have been and he was a bantamweight, is what he was. So he was a lower weight class, but I mean, still so much ahead of him. He could have done all this stuff, and it is sad. So just keep that in mind when you're watching a fight or you're kind of talking smack about fighters, because I mean at the end of the day we're sitting on a couch watching a fight. We're not in there doing that. We're not going through the 6, 8, 12 weeks of training camp for a fight. We're sitting here on the couch eating our Funyuns, talking. I could have done that. Could have done. Should, could have, would have.
Yeah, could have, yeah.
I should have, could have, would have done that. No, you didn't. But
Yeah.
it is what it is. Just condolences to that family. I hate that happens, but it does happen in boxing. Boxing is a serious sport, and with that comes risk. So it does suck to hear that.
It
I mean,
does
I was devastated to see that, him being so young and such a bright future ahead of him. So, condolences to that. Anything you want to say?
Man, nah, I'm good today.
Tell your
mama, your daddy, your stepbrother, stepsister. I'm just tired today. It's been a long day. I had a day off in like 8 days.
still trying to
Still trying to get out the mud. That's why you need to subscribe.
like, comment,
Like, comment, subscribe.
get me out the mud.
Yeah, how it is. You know how it is. You know the word.
Well, I appreciate it, guys. If you enjoy what you like, you enjoy what you saw, enjoy what you heard, like, comment, subscribe. Thank you guys so much. You have a great day and time.